You are sitting somewhere right now. Maybe inside, maybe outside. Maybe it is morning where you are, maybe it is night. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, the sun is doing something for you that you have never once thought about. It is not just lighting the sky. It is not just keeping you warm. It is holding you in place. It is feeding every living thing on the surface of this planet. It is the reason time exists the way you experience it. And in 8 minutes and 20 seconds, without any warning, it is gone. Not dimming, not exploding, not slowly fading. Gone, as in it simply ceases to exist. Here is what nobody tells you about that moment. For the first 8 minutes and 20 seconds after the sun disappears, you would have no idea, none. You would be sitting exactly where you are right now, feeling completely normal, completely safe, with no way of knowing that everything that makes life on Earth possible has already ended, because light travels at 300,000 kilometers per second, and the sun is 150 million kilometers away. The light you are seeing right now, the sunlight hitting your skin or your window or the ground outside, left the sun 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. The sun you are looking at is not the sun as it is. It is the sun as it was. You are always looking at the past. So the clock starts not when the sun disappears. The clock starts when you find out. And you are about to find out. Think about what you are doing right now. Whatever it is, you have approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds of not knowing. The last cup of coffee, the last commute, the last ordinary Tuesday that will ever exist on the surface of this planet. The birds are still singing because their biology still works. Plants are still photosynthesizing because the light hitting them right now is real light, just slightly old. The planet has no idea, neither do you. Then the light stops. Not a flicker, not a fade. One moment the sky is the color it always is, and the next moment it is black, not night black, not the dark of a cloudy day, the absolute black of a sky with no light source. If it is daytime where you are, you go from noon to void in an instant, and at that exact same moment something else happens. Something that most people never think about when they imagine this scenario. Something that changes not just the light, but everything. The gravity stops. The temperature starts dropping immediately. Not catastrophically, not yet. The Earth has been absorbing solar energy for billions of years. The rocks, the oceans, the atmosphere, all of that stored warmth does not vanish the moment the source is cut. The planet has thermal mass. It is in effect a battery, and batteries discharge slowly. In the first hour, the temperature drop at the surface is barely noticeable, a degree or two in most places. You would feel it the way you feel a cloud crossing the sun on a warm day. Slightly cooler, slightly different, but bearable. What you would notice before the cold is the sky. With no sun to wash out the stars, the universe reveals itself in a way human beings have never seen it. From a planet with a functional atmosphere, you have never seen the actual night sky, the real one. The Milky Way as it actually appears, not as a faint smear visible only from mountains with no artificial light, but as a solid river of light cutting across the sky that has gone from blue to black in an instant. You would see approximately 5,000 stars with the naked eye on a normal night from a dark location. You see around 2,500, but now, with no atmospheric scattering from sunlight, with no solar glare to compete with, the sky at what was previously noon looks like the deepest, clearest night you have ever seen multiplied. For approximately 1 hour, it would be, despite everything, extraordinarily beautiful. Then the cold becomes serious. Within 24 hours, surface temperatures in most places drop below zero. The rate varies by location. Coastal areas with the ocean as a thermal buffer cool more slowly. Inland areas, deserts, plains, mountains cool faster, but the direction is the same everywhere. Down, steadily, relentlessly down. The plants know first. Photosynthesis stops the moment the light stops, not gradually, immediately. The chemical process that has been running continuously on this planet for over 3 billion years, the process that produces essentially all of the oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere and forms the base of almost every food chain on the planet, stops. Just stops. The plants themselves do not die immediately. A tree that has been growing for 100 years does not wilt in a day, but it is no longer producing, no longer making oxygen, no longer converting carbon dioxide into the sugars that feed insects, that feed birds, that feed larger animals. The engine of life on Earth's surface has stopped running. The animals that depend on plants for food have days, maybe weeks for the larger ones. The animals that depend on those animals have slightly less. The food chain does not collapse slowly. It collapses in sequence like a line of dominoes, each one taking exactly as long as it takes to run out of what it was eating before it was gone. Within a week, the surface temperature in most locations is around minus 18 degrees Celsius. That is not unsurvivable. That is a cold winter in parts of Canada or Russia. People live in that. People are adapted to that, but it is still going down. The ocean is the last thing to give up. The ocean contains an almost incomprehensible amount of thermal energy. It has been absorbing sunlight for billions of years. It is deep. It is vast. It does not cool quickly. In the first weeks, the surface temperature of the oceans drops, but the deep ocean barely moves. The ocean for a while becomes the warmest place on Earth. Coastal regions would be the last places where temperatures remain even marginally bearable. People would move toward the coasts, toward the water, toward the last reservoirs of solar warmth stored over billions of years. The ocean would buy time, months, possibly a year or two, of temperatures that humans could survive in if they had enough food, enough shelter, enough stored resources. The surface of the ocean begins freezing within weeks, not everywhere simultaneously. The poles freeze first, extending outward. Equatorial regions hold longer, but the ice advances. Here is the part that matters for survival. The ocean does not freeze from the bottom up. It freezes from the surface down, and ice is an excellent insulator. The frozen surface, paradoxically, slows the cooling of the water beneath it. The deep ocean, the crushing dark water kilometers below the surface, the water around hydrothermal vents where superheated water erupts from cracks in the ocean floor. That water stays warm, not warm by human standards, but warm by the standards of the only life that would still be alive at that point. Within a year, the surface temperature is around minus 73 degrees Celsius. That number requires a moment. Minus 73, the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth, in Antarctica, in the middle of winter at the driest and most isolated place on the planet's surface, is minus 89. We are approaching that. And then we will pass it. And then we will keep going. Within 5 years, the surface temperature approaches minus 130 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere itself begins to change at these temperatures. Nitrogen, which makes up 78% of the air you are breathing right now, liquefies at minus 196 degrees Celsius. We are heading there. Within tens of thousands of years, the atmosphere begins to snow. Literally. The gases that make up the air, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, condense and freeze and fall as a kind of atmospheric snow onto a surface that is already frozen solid kilometers deep. The Earth becomes from space a pale blue-white sphere, completely frozen, completely silent, drifting through interstellar space at 107,000 kilometers per hour toward nothing in particular. The oceans are frozen solid. The mountains are buried under ice kilometers thick. The cities that once existed on the surface are compressed under a weight of ice that makes them unrecognizable, and yet life does not end. This is the part that matters. Deep beneath the ocean floor, in cracks in the Earth's crust where superheated water erupts at temperatures of 400 degrees Celsius, ecosystems exist right now that have never seen sunlight. Not because the sun disappeared, because they evolved in places the sun never reached. Tube worms, chemosynthetic bacteria, eyeless shrimp. Entire food chains built not on sunlight, but on the chemical energy of the Earth's own interior. The geothermal heat that keeps the planet's core molten, the heat left over from the planet's formation 6 billion years ago, and from the radioactive decay of elements in the mantle, that heat does not care about the sun. It does not need the sun. It will continue for billions of years after the sun is gone. These ecosystems would survive, unchanged, unaffected, doing exactly what they have always done. As the surface above them freezes and the atmosphere above that freezes and the Earth drifts through interstellar space carrying its secret ocean and its secret life in the dark. And possibly humans. Not many, not comfortably. But the physics permits it. Nuclear reactors produce heat without sunlight. Underground spaces can be heated and lit artificially. Algae and fungi can be grown without sunlight if you provide artificial light. A small population deep underground near geothermal heat sources with nuclear power and stored food and closed-loop life support systems, could in theory survive indefinitely on a sunless Earth. They would never see the sky, never feel warmth on their skin that did not come from a machine, never grow food in soil. Their entire world would be tunnels and reactors and artificial light and the knowledge of what once existed above them, but they would be alive. Here is what this thought experiment reveals that nothing else does. We talk about the sun as if it is a feature of the planet, the way we talk about the mountains or the oceans, something that exists within the context of Earth. But the sun is not a feature of Earth. Earth is a feature of the sun. Everything that exists on this planet, every form of life, every civilization, every piece of art, every thought that has ever been thought in a human brain, exists because a star 150 million kilometers away has been burning for 4.6 billion years and has so far not stopped. That is how contingent everything is. The food on your table exists because of the sun. The oxygen in your lungs exists because of the sun. The fact that liquid water exists on this planet at all, the fact that the temperature is in the narrow band that allows chemistry to produce life, exists because of the distance between this planet and that star. Move Earth slightly closer, Venus. Move it slightly further, Mars. The margin is razor thin, and we have never once had to think about it. Every civilization that has ever existed, every philosophy that has ever tried to understand the universe, every religion that has ever attempted to explain existence, has taken the sun completely for granted, because it has always been there. Every morning, reliable, unchanged, 4.6 billion mornings in a row without a single exception. We built our concept of constancy around it. We built our concept of time around it. We built our concept of tomorrow around the absolute assumption that the sun will rise. The ancient Egyptians worshipped it as a god. The Aztecs fed it human blood to keep it moving. The Greeks told stories about what would happen if someone flew too close. Every culture in every era understood at some level that the sun was not a backdrop. It was the thing, everything else was details. We forgot. We got so good at electricity and heating and artificial light that we stopped feeling the sun the way our ancestors felt it. We live in climate-controlled rooms and drive climate-controlled cars and eat food that was grown somewhere else by someone else, and the sun became something that occasionally got in your eyes on the motorway. The sun did not change. We did. But here is what does not change. The 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Right now, the light hitting your face, if you are outside, or your window, if you are inside, left the sun 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. The sun that exists right now, at this moment, as it actually is, you will not see for another 8 minutes and 20 seconds. You are always looking at the past. You are always experiencing something that has already happened elsewhere, which means that every sunrise you have ever seen was already 8 minutes old by the time it reached you. Everyone, and tomorrow's sunrise left. The sun 8 minutes and 20 seconds before you saw it. Assuming there is a sun to send it. There will be. Almost certainly. It has managed 4.6 billion mornings in a row. But now, you know what the alternative looks like. And maybe, just maybe, tomorrow morning, when the light comes through your window, you will remember what it cost